Hello and welcome. I'm Keegan Hirst and this is the Hirst Locker, the podcast for men who want to build an incredible body, a rock-solid mindset and unstoppable confidence. It's for men who want to live life on their terms and live it to their full potential. I've helped hundreds of men transform their lives, giving them the knowledge, the tools and the self-belief to help them smash through the glass ceiling that stopped them from achieving their dreams. And I want to do the same for you. Now we're going to focus on physical, mental and emotional health, things that affect us as gay men so that we can live life on our terms, build the body that we want and feel confident living that life. I'm going to help you cut through the noise and confusion to give you the confidence and clarity to take action and build the best version of yourself, to give you complete control of your body, your mindset, your habits and ultimately your life. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Hirst Locker, in which I would like to pose a question. Sometimes I like to just kind of stick a question out there and give my thoughts on it. They're not right or wrong. They're just my thoughts, my opinions. And remember guys, opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. So, including me. And they usually stink. Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one and they usually stink. But moving on. The question, in all seriousness, that I want to pose to you is, are you living an authentic life? Are you enduring the vulnerability of being seen? I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. Because being fully seen can be really, really scary, right? Like, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but for me, certainly, being a gay man, I have been more comfortable in the past living on the fringes of society, just giving little bits, got used to hiding and trying not to be too conspicuous. I didn't want to draw attention to myself because it might incite questions. I might feel like I got a negative reaction. For an example, I think Louis Spence is great. For anyone who doesn't know who Louis Spence is, he was a dancer. He was actually one of the Spice Boys. Don't know if you know that all the Spice Girls had their own dancer. That is how gay I am that I know that. And Louis Spence, I'm pretty sure, was Emma Bunton's dancer. But he was also on Pineapple Dance Studios. He's done a lot of stuff. And I think he's amazing. I think he's absolutely fabulous, to quote Elton John. And I remember before I came out, I would kind of turn Louis Spence off. Maybe I would do. I would turn the channel over if he ever came on, because I was terrified that me just sitting and seeing Louis Spence living his best life, literally being his authentic self, it kind of shone a light on me that I wasn't doing that, and that people might see that and start to ask questions. Whether that was true or not, whether that's accurate or not, that is how I thought about, how I felt about it and how I would behave, around certain things. So it is a really difficult position to be in when you're not being 100% you, all right? And when my clients first start their fitness journeys, their goals are just the same as anybody else's, right? They want to become stronger, they want to become healthier, they want to feel more comfortable in their own skin. I think we can all agree, whether you're straight, gay, bi, trans, black, white, whatever religion you are, we all want to feel those things, all right? But what if that journey goes way, way, way better than expected, right? What if you started to look really, really good? What if you started to get the kind of success that you didn't notice? How would that make you feel? Or how has it made you feel? Suddenly you start attracting extra attention, all right? And, people are more interested in you. And now you may be completely comfortable and loving that extra attention. And in all cases, power to you, all right? But don't be surprised if it makes you feel comfortable, because suddenly a lot of people, especially in my experience coaching gay guys, and I don't speak for everybody, in my experience with a lot of the clients that I've had, is that they start to look good, they start to feel good, they start to perform better at work, at home, their friends notice a difference, their family notice a difference, you know, everything's going great. And then you'd be surprised how many people join the program because they don't want to be lonely. They want to be in a meaningful relationship. They want to meet somebody. But as RuPaul says, you can't love anybody unless you love yourself, right? And if they're in a position where they don't, so they start to get into that position. But what has it happened to me? You know, having that extra attention shone on you, and it's happened to them, is that suddenly, because they're so used to being on the fringe of society, suddenly because they've not been used to living their full, authentic self, you know, giving 100% of them to out there in any situation, and that doesn't mean, I'm not talking about that every gay man is going to be high kicking up and down the street and, you know, being super effeminate or camp or anything like that. It's those little things, you know, when someone says, what did you do at the weekend? And you say, you know, without even thinking about it, you go, yeah, we went out to mates, went to a gay bar, pulled this guy, blah, 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 blah. Like, if you have to think about that, if you have to censor yourself, the drag queen, Panty Bliss, Rory, he did an amazing speech, and I would check it out on YouTube. And he talks about, even as a gay man, you find yourself checking yourself all the time. How are you holding yourself? How are you walking? How are you talking? What are the answers that you say to other people? And if you are doing that, I'm not saying that this is not me saying that that's a bad thing and you're letting the side down by doing that, just to clear this up. It means that there's stuff to work through, that there's stuff that you're not 100% comfortable with. And just as an example for myself, you know, I would like to consider myself really transparent. There was this one time I was in, it was when I was playing for Wakefield. We were flying over to play Catalans in France. And I remember I was reading a book. It's a great book. It's called Good As You. It's by Paul Flynn. And it talks about the last 50 years of gay culture, whether that's TV and drama and things like that. And the cover of the book has got two guys kissing. And I remember I've been reading this book, I was engrossed in it. I remember we were stood in the queue to get on the plane, and there was, you know, other people getting on the plane as well. We weren't Chelsea, we weren't getting on the chartered plane. Or maybe we were, I don't know, but wherever we were in a holding pen. And there was loads of people around, and I was stood as we were queuing, and I was reading. And I suddenly became really aware that there was two gay guys kissing on the front. Well, it might not have been gay, but there were two guys kissing on the front of the book. And I remember closing the book and putting it under my arm so that, camping itself, that nobody saw it. And I remember, you know, I was already out, all the stuff about, you know, coming out and being a rugby player and all that. And I suddenly felt like, oh my God, I'm letting the side down here. I've literally checked myself in a very obvious way, for me certainly. And I remember messaging my friend about it and saying I actually felt really guilty about it, you know, like a bit of a hypocrite, you know, me, oh, Keegan's, all this has come out, and actually, you know, but this is part of getting comfortable in your own skin. Now, I couldn't give a shit, like, you know, I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable in my, you know, that was only a couple of years after coming out. I think I've been out 7 years now, so I'm still quite a young gay. But that authenticity is, I think, when you've spent so much of your life not being fully open about something, and that's not necessarily just your sexuality, it might be, you know, an illness, it might be, I know someone who's an alcoholic, who's been a recovering alcoholic for like 15 years, and it wasn't until recently that and I've known him, you know, about 10 years, and he never told me. because he wasn't comfortable in being that off. That is part of who he is, and that shame, I think, you know, it's a really powerful thing. Shame, it can keep us trapped. It can keep us in the shadows. And when we get that newfound attention, we might feel scrutinized. We might feel awkward. We might feel self-conscious. As I said, I've certainly felt that. But I guess because of my own dealings with that, something that I always say to clients is, and anyone who I kind of reaches out and asks me for advice, I guess, is I appreciate I might be 34, only 34, but I have worked through quite a lot of stuff. I have gone through a lot of stuff, and I do not have all the answers, just for parity. I do not have all the answers, and I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes in my life. But the fact that I've gone through a lot of that stuff, and maybe a little bit further on than people, whether that's with regards to training. I've been the fat kid in the gym who didn't know what they were doing. I've been the person who felt uncomfortable because someone said something on social media. I remember doing, when I did my Attitude photo shoot, Attitude put something on their Instagram, and it was a photo of me in the shower with clothes on, weirdly, but my shirt was open. And the comment below, and I'll never forget it, the fact that I'm relaying this comment, it impacted me deeply. Could they not just Photoshop some abs onto him? And it stung, you know, having that level of attention. And I appreciate not everybody's going to be doing a photo shoot for a magazine, but that extra attention does bring with it some negativity sometimes. And unless you feel, I've just been away this weekend, and my abs are not all that. I don't really give a shit. Like, I like how I look. I'm all right at the minute. So again, it's working through that, but you've got to work through that. You've got to get to the place you want to be. And then if you want to regress, you can do. You know, if we ever regress to whatever point, listen, people go back in the closet. People, you know, get in great shape and then, you know, don't stay in great shape. If you choose to do that, that's fine. If you actively choose to do it, that's fine. But if you do that because you're not completely comfortable or set with where you're at, or because of what something says, it means that you're not living that fully authentic life. And again, that is not judgment. That is an observation, you know. So I'm able to help clients through that period of life. I'm able to teach them how to welcome that attention and enjoy the appreciation that comes your way. It's amazing how many times I've done a talk and people, if you bare your soul to someone, I'm not saying on the first date, I'm talking about, you know, if someone asks you about something and you give a genuine, authentic response, and it might not be groundbreaking, it might not be, but the fact that they have been vulnerable and authentic can have a massive impact on how people see you and how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself. Something to remember about self-confidence, self-esteem. The best way that I can describe that, certainly my view on it, is that self-confidence and self-esteem are the reputation that you have got with yourself, okay? And if you consistently are open and honest and authentic with people, you will see yourself as an open and authentic person. And it does not matter, if you genuinely see yourself like that, it does not matter what somebody else says about you or thinks about you, because you have built that reputation with yourself. So regardless of, you know, someone saying that you're something that you're not, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, while we're talking about sexuality, a really easy example would be if there's a straight guy and he's slept with numerous women, and someone comes up to him and says, "You're gay," and he says, "No, I'm not." "No, you are. You're definitely gay." He has built up, you know, that image of himself by following through on his actions of who he is. That is who he is. He's a straight man, right? That's one example of doing it. You know, if you go to the gym and you're in great shape and you look after yourself, you eat well, and someone comes up to you and they say, "You're a fat fucker," you go, "No, I'm not," because you know that You know that because you've lived it and you've followed through that. So all that is all part of life's rich tapestry, right? That sounds a bit cunty, doesn't it? But it is. It's part. You know, it as my nan would say, it wouldn't do for us all to be the same. So just think about that. If you find yourself checking yourself, if you find whether that's, you know, pulling at clothes that you're wearing because you're not quite comfortable with where you're at, if you find yourself checking yourself, doctoring your stories to fit in with other people, have a think about that. Why is that? What's stopping you from being fully you? Because when you're not fully you, it really detracts. It takes up mental bandwidth. Think of, you know, you've got a battery, and if, you know, 50, 60, 70% of it is being taken up by not being authentic, you're selling yourself short. Imagine what you could do with double the brain space. Imagine what you could do at work, in your relationships, in your social life. Imagine what that would do for your energy, not having to constantly think about that, for it to be constantly on the back burner. So I hope you found that enlightening, helpful, reflective. And I would absolutely love to hear about your experiences. So whether that's in the comments, whether that's on Instagram, DM me. I would love to hear about what your experience is, and if that's something that you've struggled with and overcome, are still struggling with, let me know. And as always, thank you for listening to the Hirst Locker. Really appreciate your support, and I will see you next week.